welcome to the Oshkosh Area School District Board of Education regular meeting for October 9th, 2019. Has this meeting been properly noticed?
Yes, it has.
Would you please call the roll?
Carlin? Here. Evans?
Here.
Garner?
Here.
Herzog?
Here.
Olmsted?
Here.
Peschel?
Here.
Szilagyi?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. This evening we have students from Roosevelt Elementary School who will be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So I will invite Serenity Tao and Erdesam Umar to come forward at this time.
Just with help with Will. Oh, okay. Oh, he had a big key.
Okay.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are so happy that you've joined us here this evening because it's important that we remember our main reason for being in that is for students, and that's our number one rule, students first. So we're delighted you were able to take time out of your schedules tonight. You're welcome to stay for the entire meeting, or if you have other things you need to do tonight, we certainly understand. So first off, thank you so much for joining us this evening. This is for you and Serenity. Thank you for coming out tonight with your brothers and your sisters on the day. Thank you again.
No, that's a good question. That's a good question. Bye, thank you. Oh my gosh, that was so cute.
Okay.
They're doing the same slide.
So we will move on to the President's report. There are some very special people in this school district, many very special people in this school district, and I just want to highlight a couple of them here this evening. There's always a risk when you start naming people because you're likely to leave some out. So I will only speak to those whom I've actually seen or read about directly. People who work with children are my heroes, and I know they're the heroes of Mr. Rogers as well. So I want to single out some of these people who are special in our district. Jason Riff, who's an art teacher at Oshkosh West High School, had his artwork prominently displayed during Gallery Walk in September at the Art Space. In October, so last week, Saturday, our very own board member Jim Evans and his wife Gail Pansky had their artwork on display at Art Space.
It helps if you're a member.
And next month, another one of our art teachers will be having her work prominently displayed at Art Space, and that's Deb King. Our board member Allison Garner was recently a presenter at TEDx, which is a learning program, continuing education program that is in its fourth year, I believe. Yep. And features outstanding speakers on interesting topics, so we congratulate her. And I had an opportunity to attend Arts Corps, which is a joint venture between the Payne Arts Center and the Oshkosh Area School District and other districts to promote arts education throughout the curriculum. Ta Feder, sometimes known as Frau, who is a teacher over at Merrill Middle, was a presenter this last month, along with Elizabeth Bryden, who is a West High School art teacher. And I just read this afternoon that one of our teachers, who's also a coach, has been identified by the as a Wisconsin High School Coach of Significance Award, which came from the United Soccer Coaches for going above and beyond the confines of the soccer field. So I just want to congratulate all these wonderful people who are out there doing positive things in our community and for our students. So congratulations to all of you. I also want to note that I attended the Board of Control meeting last night for CISA 6, which is another way of saying their Board of Education. It was a great meeting, and one of the things that we received from that meeting is a new way of approaching an agenda for a board. So the Board of Control now will feature its mission, vision, values all on a single page with the agenda to remind us as board members what we stand for. We also had some exciting news last night from the standpoint that CISA 6 operates as a cooperative. The C in CISA stands for cooperative. And what that means is that it's an organization of members, and if profits are generated, those profits might be shared with the members. So they have announced, and the board approved last night, an exciting plan to return money back to the school districts who have contributed to CISA. And the way this will work is that each district, including Oshkosh, will receive a sum of money, a credit, which they may use for new services from CISA 6, and they'll have a year to use those. I'm not at liberty to share the dollar amount. I don't have that in front of me, and I didn't write it down, but Dr. Cartwright, I know, will be hearing about that in an upcoming meeting. We also received last night an update on some legislation being considered in the Wisconsin State Legislature. There's a Senate Bill 407, which would open up entrance for grade 4 kindergarten, which would allow students to enter 4K up until the end of December of the given year when they turn 4. That bill has had some concerns expressed about that because of the lateness of students starting and whether or not they can really follow the entire curriculum in less than a full year. There's also a bill in the Assembly called AB 51, which has to do with forgiving loans for minority students who go into education. As the diversity increases across our district and across our state, there's a move to attract to attract more people into education, period, and especially students going into education who represent various minority groups. Senate Bill 49 will provide for competitive science grants, which would provide grants of up to $5,000 for participation in competition. In this current legislative session, there were 10 suicide prevention bills introduced. One of them would allow for those individuals who want to become school psychologists to operate on an interim license. They have to get a lot of clinical hours, and that makes it more difficult for people to get into the profession. So this would get people into schools a little bit faster. And finally, another bill that was discussed had to do with seclusion and restraint regarding special needs students. This bill, and I'm sorry I don't have the wording on this, but it would require that any time a student is restrained, a special education student is restrained, there would have to be an IEP meeting called. And so those were the major bills that we received information on last night from a policy perspective, and perhaps we can get more information on those bills for our very own legislative committee, because I know they do have an upcoming meeting. So I also want to give a shout out to Oak Lawn Elementary School for their Walk to School program. Several of us were at the school last week around 7 a.m., which is a little on the early side, but it was a great time to interact with the students and to get some exercise in before the school day began. So with that, I will turn this next segment over to Dr. Cartwright.
Thank you, Dr. Herzog. We're going to go ahead and get started with our updates from our two high school representatives. We'll start first with Oshkosh West High School, Emilia Smith.
Okay, so hello, my name's Amelia Smith and I'm from Oshkosh West High School. So to start off, Oshkosh West has been doing very well in our athletics. In swimming, we had a swim meet last night, and we won against Fond du Lac. Soccer has been doing very good with all of their games, and they're being very competitive in their sectionals and their conference, and so hopefully they will go to state. Football has been doing pretty good with their playing, and even if they have lost some games, they've had that positive attitude and been resilient to keep going. Also, golf has been doing very good and actually just had their sectionals a couple days ago, and they are hoping to send a few girls to state. Along with tennis, they hope to send a few girls to state. In our community, there has been a lot of students and sports teams and other clubs that have been doing a lot of amazing community service. The dance team had went to a Alzheimer walk, a walk to end Alzheimer's a few weeks ago. They raised a couple $100 for that event, making a really big impact in our community. The cross-country team just ran a food drive to give canned foods and other foods to a food pantry. Student government just had a blood drive, and although we did not get to our maximum goal, we had a lot of students donate a lot of blood, which was very good. And just this morning, swim team just had walk to school day at Lakeside, and we walked to school with many of the children there. Along with that, volleyball team raised over $1,000 for the breast cancer fund for the wig, for wigs for people with breast cancer. This is kind of a more comical part of the presentation, but one of our administrators has been setting a goal to go to at least one of every practice, or one practice for every sport this fall. So you can see one of our administrators is doing tennis, swimming, and cross country. For music, there are many concerts coming up, so the music department has been very busy lately. Choir concert is on October 15th, orchestra on October 24th. Marching band is performing this Friday for the homecoming game, and there are many more activities that will be going on in the music program, including the one-act play, and the public performances will be in November or December. They are not sure of the date yet. And Magicals just started up this week, Monday, and musical auditions for the Sister Act they're happening this weekend. Index. As you guys as everyone knows, the first issue of the Index came out, and actually the 25th anniversary will be happening soon. Mr. Scott will be planning a party for any alumni that have been involved in the Index before, and they are sending out apparel. So if any of you have been involved, get on that and you can go to that party. Very exciting news about our school is that NBC 26 came to film about the Wildcat Cafe, and that happened about a week ago. There was a very nice section in the news about how the Wildcat Cafe prepares students to be community, career, and college ready, and that's as our motto for the Oshkosh Area School District. That was awesome to be seen on TV. And homecoming is this week. For dress-up days, there has been a lot of students that have been getting involved. Monday was pajama day, Tuesday, twin day, today, meme day. Tomorrow will be class dress-up, and Friday is West Apparel. And with that, there are also a lot of activities that have been getting students involved in homecoming. On Sunday, there was hallway decorating, and that got at least 50 students there at school on a weekend, which is a lot to say. And so our school is just decked out in Hollywood decorations right now. Along with that, during our W hours, we have activities for every day. So Monday was Minute to Win It, and Tuesday was a scavenger hunt, and today we did not have one, unfortunately, because it was early release. but there are so many students getting involved, and it just really shows the Wildcat way of being all into everything. So we hope you have a great month, and yes, that's it.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Amelia. Now, we all know that there's that infamous homecoming parade. That's this Friday, correct?
Yes.
And it's at 5 o'clock. It starts at Oshkosh West High School?
Yes.
Wonderful.
5:30.
5:30, thank you for that
Yes.
clarification. So from 5:30, and they're going to be marching all the way over towards Titan Stadium,
Yes.
correct?
Mhm.
And then there'll be a little bit of tailgating that's going on there.
Yes.
The high school way.
The high school way, not that way.
Just want to make that clarification. Thank you so much. At this point in time, we're going to turn this over to Oshkosh North High School's representative, Kimball. Yay.
All right. Well, hello everyone. My name is Kimball, and I'm the representative from Oshkosh North. So West is having their homecoming this week, and we have ours next week. So without further ado, we can begin. So first, to begin with our athletics, our football team is playing against Fond du Lac tomorrow instead of Friday due to the weather, so it was rescheduled. And then for our homecoming game next week, Friday, we are playing against Oshkosh West. So that's going to be a big game. And before the game, we are recognizing both West and North youth teams. So the Eagles and the Flyers will be recognized. And at halftime, our dance team and our band will be performing, and the homecoming court will be announced as well. And our super fans have always continued to show their school spirit by dressing up for our games, and they have been super supportive of our team so far. All right, and with volleyball, they recently hosted their own eight-team invite this Saturday, and they also had matches yesterday against Kimberly, and then they will be against Oshkosh West tomorrow before playing Lourdes on the 15th. And then they'll also be hosting Nina on the 17th, and then they have their playoffs on the 24th of this month. And with girls golf, something super special happened. So a junior at our school, Grace Miller, made history on Monday by being the first female golfer to qualify for state. So that's super exciting. Congratulations to Grace Miller. And then along with her fellow juniors, Haley Brunk and Taylor Romer, who qualified for sectionals just this past Monday. And then as a team, North finished 4th place overall in the FBA. And then some other sports with our girls swimming and diving team. They are about halfway through their regular season already. And then they hosted Appleton North yesterday, and then they will be hosting Oshkosh West on the 22nd at the 20th Avenue Y. Girls tennis finished up their regular season with a 7th place finish in the FBA. And they competed at the subsectionals at the Fox Cities Racket Club yesterday, and then they will be competing again tomorrow at sectionals. And with boys soccer, their sectionals start on the 22nd. They had kind of a rough game last night against Kimberly, but they are pretty pumped up to go against West next week. And that would be hopefully a good way to finish the season. And then cross country have been training for the Seymour's invite tomorrow. And soon the winter sports will begin in November. And last week, Tuesday, Student Council hosted a staff pizza lunch. And instead of just going out and buying pizza, we actually bought pizza from a fundraiser with the Oshkosh North Booster Club. So instead of just, buying pizza, we raised some money for the Booster Club, and we still provided the staff with a yummy lunch that day. And a lot of them enjoyed it, as you can tell. And as I mentioned a little bit before, homecoming is next week. So on Monday it's company day, so wear your pajamas or any clothes that you find are comfortable. On Tuesday we have USA Day, or red, white, and blue. On Wednesday we have Wisco Wednesday or Wisco Day. So basically just wearing your Wisconsin apparel, whether that be like with the Badgers, Brewers, Packers, or etc. Thursday is Jersey Day, so represent your favorite team. And for class colors on Friday, the freshmen are white. The sophomores are gold and yellow, juniors are green, and the seniors are wearing black. But something new we did this year was with our homecoming shirts, we decided to coordinate that with the class colors. So as you guys look on the screen, this would be the shirts for the freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And the staff all had a choice. They had a choice to pick whatever color they wanted to order. And then as well throughout Spirit Week next week, 2 students are eligible to win $20 each day by taking a picture in front of our Verb backdrop and posting it on social media with the hashtag HOCO19. So that'll be super exciting next week. All right. And then coming soon, our fall play have finished with their auditions. Magicals has started already. Our homecoming dress closet is open next week after school, so anyone who wants a dress can come and take one. You don't have to return it, you can keep it for yourself, or if you wanted to, you can donate it for the following year. Spooktacular is on the 27th from 1 to 3 at North, and we will be having like red rooms, green rooms, or yellow rooms, depending on like the scariness. So bring your children. There will be candy and activities. And then, before I forget to mention, we are having our homecoming parade the Friday of homecoming week on the 18th from 5:30. And then our final destination is at Titan Stadium, and we are starting at Roosevelt. So bring your children or your younger siblings. Candies will be passed out. And we have a lot of organizations and clubs signed up this year, so that'll be super exciting for our parade as well. And that concludes it for today. So see you guys again next month.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cabal. Both of you were very proud of the presentations that you're giving to us, and you're representing your schools extremely well. Thank you very much. With that, we're going to go ahead and transition over into our superintendent's good news report. First up is Shapiro STEM Academy. Staff members at Shapiro STEM Academy recently engaged in great discourse this past month during collaboration time. Of course, this would be a positive discourse, not a negative discourse. Equity and data were the highlighted topics with the theme of student data inquiry. Students at Jefferson Elementary School celebrated National Take Your Parent to Physical Education Week. Parents and guardians were invited to join their students in various activities throughout the week. It was awesome to see parents being such positive role models for fitness and exercise. Carl Traeger Elementary School was recently featured in the statewide issue of School News. Carl Traeger Elementary started the journey toward becoming an official green and healthy school by creating a student-based green team during the 2018-19 school year. The Green Team's mission is to improve the environment and reduce Carl Traeger's environmental impact through educating, reducing waste, recycling, minimizing the school's carbon footprint, and improving health and wellness throughout the community. Nearly 90 students from Oshkosh North and Oshkosh West had the opportunity to increase their awareness of manufacturing careers and related post-secondary programs. The event was a part of the Manufacturing Month celebration. Students toured the Amcor Healthcare Manufacturing Facility and had career conversations with manufacturing personnel. They built planes at Fox Valley Technical College, and Oshkosh Corporation provided an overview of working in manufacturing and gave everyone the opportunity to get into one of their vehicles. Roosevelt Elementary School was the lucky recipient of 185 birthday books for students. Thank you to the Book Warehouse at the Oshkosh Outlet Mall. The Oshkosh West Wildcat Cafe was recently featured by NBC 26 Partners in Education. The Wildcat Cafe first opened in 2010 to provide an authentic setting for students to learn work-related skills. One of its goals is to ensure that those work-related skills are transferred so that students become successfully employed in our community. This year, the cafe expanded to a unique second location in the school's library media center. Wait a minute, I didn't think you were supposed to have food and drink in the library. How unique. Yes. Oakwood Elementary School students have been busy collecting donations to stuff the Oshkosh Warming Shelter. The school-wide contest resulted in nearly 13,000 items donated to the warming shelter. Check out the contest totals and join us in thanking and congratulating Oakwood Elementary for a job well done. Communities 2 students are partnering with senior living facilities from all over Oshkosh to connect with senior citizens. Students will be working on technology and interacting with our community's seniors through conversation, games, and other activities over a 7-week time period. The students are really excited to spend time with this generation who has a wealth of information. South Park Middle School is partnering with their business pal, Downtown Rotary, for Socktober. During the month of October, new pairs of socks are being collected by both groups to donate to a local organization. This year, the school and organization are looking forward to a healthy competition to see who can collect the most. Perry Tipler and Alps students celebrated a great start to the school year with a beach party. The schools had a Hawaiian dress-up competition, and students also enjoyed music, games, and so much more. Volunteers from the University of Oshkosh Hands-on Oshkosh program helped to sort and organize Washington's Helping Hands clothing and supplies. The school community, as well as the entire district, is so thankful for this organization's support. Congratulations to the most influential teachers as selected by the 2019 Oshkosh North senior football players. These teachers have truly impacted these young men in a positive manner and were recently honored for the wisdom, dedication, and commitment that they have shown to the seniors and to all of the students they have taught throughout the years. Congratulations and thank you to these outstanding teachers. The Oshkosh Area School District will launch its new website on October 22nd. As you may remember, we initiated this project last November, so that's November 2018. The website is one effort we are making towards improving communication with students, parents, and the community. Some of the things you can expect with the new website include mobile responsive design, enhanced search function and staff directory, current calendar and events, frequent and up-to-date news articles. After the launch of the new website, updates and improvements will be ongoing. We are appreciative for everyone their understanding during this transition time, and we welcome your feedback. So we always take time to recognize our students, we take time to recognize staff, as well as why we exist as a school district. Tonight, we are taking time to make sure that we recognize each of our school board members. The Wisconsin Association of School Boards has designated October 6th through the 12th as Wisconsin School Board Week as a time to build awareness and understanding of the vital function an elected Board of Education plays in our communities. The Oshkosh Area School District is honoring our school board members for their commitment to the community in the Oshkosh area and its children. Strong communities are built around strong schools, and our board members give countless hours to ensure that we enrich our community by supporting our students to lead creative and empowered lives. They make the tough decisions every month and spend many hours studying educational issues to provide the kind of results our community expects and to keep a student-first mindset as their guiding principle. They are committed to focusing on the whole child while assisting the district to be the leader in education through innovative practices. School board members give the Oshkosh area citizens a voice in education decision-making. Even though we make a special effort to show our appreciation in October, their contribution is a year-round task. For these reasons and many more, we hope that our community will take time this week to send a positive message to our school board members. And we even have for our board members from all of our exec team and across the Oshkosh Area School District, just a little bit of a celebration of y'all for tonight, for later after the school board meeting. And last but not least, I remain committed to being present and engaged in our schools and throughout Oshkosh. On the screen, you'll see just a few examples of where I've been spending my time for the past couple weeks. And with that, Madam President, if it's okay, I'm going to go ahead and ask for Dr. Gunlock to come up to do a presentation related to the Facility Advisory Committee update.
That would be great, and I also appreciate that Mr. Jones is moving that cake before I happen to get my Chromebook embedded in the frosting. So thank you. And thank you to the district, Dr. Cartwright, and the exec team and the entire district for those kind remarks about our board, and for the flowers and for the cards you've gifted us with this evening. It's much appreciated. We're all very happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Okay, not quite as exciting as cake, but our Facility Advisory Committee update, we met a couple of weeks ago now almost, and we always start this update just kind of reviewing the committee charge as well as the specifics of that charge, where the committee is taking a look at options to present to you that are enduring options for the future in terms of setting up and dealing with our facility issues. This meeting was held at September 30th at Shapiro Elementary School Media Center, and the interesting thing was the first two meetings were probably way more sit and get in education of the committee. In this meeting, things accelerated quite quickly into a lot of different decisions and discussions. I always like to remind folks that we do have a Facility Advisory Committee website. We will be when we transition to our new website, this is going to go with us. So, of course, this information will be there as well. You can see this is the page we put on the actual slideshows that we use during that meeting. We also post the YouTube videos from the meeting. This particular meeting, we cut it into two parts because it was quite long, but both parts are accessible on our district YouTube channel. So we'll be doing the same thing at the next meeting. We video the entire thing, and then we post it within 24 hours of that meeting. So if people miss the meeting or if the community wants to stay involved, they can be right there through it every step of the way. So meeting three's highlights. We always recap the process, the schedule, the norms, et cetera. Dr. Joe Schrader, who is our facilitator, does a wonderful job of that. They brought back the themes from the previous meetings and discussed those in terms of recommendations. And then the next big part of the discussion was around the idea of consolidation. They've chewed on quite a bit of data over the last two meetings, and the discussion was, should we be asking our community if consolidation is a good thing? And the answer was a resounding yes to that is something that we ought to be talking about. We then moved into a discussion on the phasing of facility projects. You've heard us say this before, that Oshkosh did not get into this situation overnight, and it's not going to get out of it overnight. So how do we create a series of interlocking phases that can stand on their own 2 feet and break this up into manageable pieces? So the first phase was kind of broken out into 4 projects. The first project focused on safety and security upgrades. The second project focused on high-priority building infrastructure and maintenance, and most of that, I believe it's somewhere in the $11 million range, most of that was really focused on about $9 million of necessary electrical upgrades, just base electrical upgrades for North and West high schools. So these are things that would definitely compete with our existing programming because of the some certain budget that we're dealing with. So those are very critical items. The third project would be to actually build a new middle school. And basically consolidating middle schools on the north side. The fourth project would be building or updating an existing elementary school, to also do that on the same side. Now, where exactly that is, that's what the committee is going to start focusing on next. But the meat of this discussion was laying that out and then taking a look at a community-wide survey that would gauge community input on all 4 of those items and how those come together. Actually, it's more than those 4 items. It's consolidation, those 4 items, and then wrapping it all together. And so there'll be separate questions asked about all of those. The draft community survey was gone over. That was version 18 of the survey. We are now on version 20 of the survey, and it is now going out. So that is going to be hitting everybody's mailboxes shortly. So what's next? The community survey. It'll be mailed to all residents. They have an option of filling it out either via paper and turning it in, or they'll be able to do it online. I took the online version today as a test run. My results were not recorded, but it was just sort of a test to see how the survey goes. It's very quick and should not take that long. It actually, in some ways, is probably a little bit easier than taking it on paper. We're emailing it out to the staff probably around the 14th of October. They'll get a similar version of the same survey. And then all of that data should be completed by November 10th. And then at the subsequent Facility Advisory Committee meeting, they're going to take a look at that information. And that's going to, no doubt, guide their recommendations that they make to you as a Board of Education shortly thereafter. So it's getting exciting, and it's starting to get down to the wire where we're really starting to get some specific ideas that are being generated at this point. So the next meeting will be Facility Advisory Committee meeting number 4, Monday, October 14th. Yes, we are aware that's Packer game. So we are recording it for everyone except for the committee members. But hopefully the Packers score a whole bunch of touchdowns by 8:30.
Who are they playing?
Yeah, I should.
That'll determine.
Please don't ask me that on camera because I should know and I don't.
It's the Lions.
Detroit.
Yeah, they're playing the
Oh,
Lions.
it's Detroit. Well,
Yeah, that's not good.
my fantasy team is doing very poorly this year, so I'm not paying attention. The major focal point is to review the Facility Advisory Committee report and tax impact. We're going to be talking a lot about that. Review the options around the elementary investment. That would be Phase 1, Project 4. And what would that look like, and how would that play out, and what would be some of the specifics around that, because that was not really determined at this point. We then have a discussion on recommendations related to the community survey as that data comes in. And then lastly, debt payment timeline and district land site acreage adequacy. That's a mouthful. Basically taking a look at what acreage do we have as a school system now, and are those acres adequate to the function that we're looking at down the road. So the whole purpose of this committee is to take as big of a look at this as possible, yet break it up into manageable pieces. And I think they're doing a wonderful job so far. So, any questions?
If I may highlight also, just for common knowledge, information is going to be shared across the entire district this Friday related to the survey that is coming out for next week, so that our employees are aware of what is coming prior to Monday as well.
Yeah, very good point. We did share it with the administrators yesterday, and we'll be doing that with the rest of the staff on Friday. So.
Thank you, Dr. Gunlock. It's very important that we, as a community, as a school district, address facilities to put our students first, so that we're educating our students as well as we possibly can and providing them with the opportunities that they need to be successful in their careers and in making them college, career, and community ready, as was pointed out earlier this evening. And it's exciting for the board and the community to hear what's going on with this committee, so that we keep everyone apprised of the progress. So thank you.
You're very welcome. All right.
Are there any other district administrator reports this evening?
No, ma'am, there are not.
All right, then we'll move on to board committee reports. I know there's at least one from Mrs. Salaji.
Yes. All right. So the Education Committee met last Thursday, October 3rd. We discussed course additions, deletions, and modifications. That presentation was done by Miss Julie Conrad. She kind of gave us some background on why it's done, when it is, and how it's completed. Students actually start making choices for the next school year in January. There's both a printed book and an online guide to give them a summary and help them make choices. And then as a board, we will approve all of these modifications or deletions or additions at our October 23rd meeting. So we'll get a written report about all of this that I'm explaining right now. And then after we approve that, they actually make sure that everything's all aligned, like that the course numbers are aligned with the state level, that there's licensing teachers for each classroom. There's just a lot of work behind the scenes on this whole process. So I'll give you a quick introduction of that report that we're going to get for our next meeting. Some of the course deletions, or the course deletions, they're all due to low enrollment, basically. There's 3 in the business department. It was desktop repair and maintenance, and desktop security and configuration. And I apologize, there were 2 in the business. There's 3 total. The other one is English. It's the UWO Modern British Literature course, and it hasn't even actually run for 5 years. So again, those are being deleted because of low enrollment. The modifications, the business department has entertainment marketing. The modification is they're adding it 10th graders. They're making it available for 10th graders. Marketing 1, they're making available for 9th graders. Entrepreneurship was done through University of Iowa, and they're going back now to Fox Valley Tech. Computer Essentials and Microsoft Office Specialist. Those are all the modifications in the business department. The English department, English 4 is being modified so that it will run both face-to-face and the e-academy, so kids can also take it online. Family and Consumer Science is modifying their education as a career, kind of the same thing. They're having some face-to-face time and some more experience in classroom time, so that the teacher of that course can get to both high schools. Music has some modifications. It's Survey of American Popular Music and Music Theory Instrumental Lab. Those are being modified through UWO. Those are CAP courses. The new classes, I think these are all really exciting. Business is adding business law, and it'll be on the E-Academy. Family and Consumer Science is adding UWO Education Policy 720. So that is actually a partnership with Art Corps as well, and the goal is to just improve the number of students who are interested in going into education. Social Studies is adding the Constitutional Convention. Technology is adding Robotics 2. We rolled out Robotics 1, I can't remember, a year or two ago, and now we're adding Robotics 2 for kids who want to continue exploring that. And then the world language classes that are being added are really cool too. They're making Spanish 1 for upperclassmen so that 12th graders can take it and be with other 12th graders. They're adding Spanish for the workplace, where they will, I took some notes on this, they'll learn Spanish vocabulary specific to the medical field, business, culinary arts, and the trades. So you have to have passed Spanish 1 and 2 for that, but that was cool, that focus. And then Spanish for travel and culture, and French for travel and culture. So those are all the updates that we'll be voting on next week, and like I said, we'll get a report about the details on those. Our future agenda items are the data accountability and school report cards. That's going to be at our November 7th meeting at 8:30. Looking also at what the current assessments are. And then looking a little further down the road, we're going to have a meeting on the E-Academy. So that's what's coming up.
Thank you, Mrs. Salaji. Are there any other committee reports tonight? All right, then moving on, I understand there are no individuals who have signed up for either the non-agenda or the agenda-related public forums. So we will move on to our only workshop of the evening, Summer Maintenance Project and Projects and CIP with Mr. Fox.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for being here tonight.
I have an opportunity this time every year to report exactly what we were able to do over the summer with our facilities department, both in-house and outsourced contractors. Important to note this particular summer, as was last summer, that we were funded in 3 different ways, which is kind of unique. Not normally the case with the facilities department. We are coming to completion of our Act 32, which is our energy exemption. That is, of course, no longer available, and we'll discuss that in detail shortly. We're also funded with our normal Fund 10 budgeting process, but as well this particular summer, as well as last summer, there's a state safety security grant, and I want to highlight a couple of particular projects that we utilize funding from that state project for as well. So tonight we're going to discuss the West High School glass, its status, a couple of photos, we'll discuss those. Interior doors, again, that was done with a state safety grant. North exterior doors. South Park Middle School parking lot, I have some photos to share with you. We usually try to do 1 parking lot at least per summer, depending on the size and the scope of that parking lot. Boiler replacements, they feel like they never stop, so we're still doing boiler replacements even though it's no longer Act 32. Roosevelt classroom was kind of an exciting transition that I want to share with you tonight. And I don't want to lose sight of some miscellaneous things that we do that are really behind the scenes. We worked on some north kitchen infrastructure to support their drain systems and their cooking equipment. Some roofing projects, we don't have pictures. They weren't really all that exciting, but we continue to invest in our roofs every summer. Building new walls to support different programs, splitting programs. We have some photos taken at North and Emmeline Cook. But we also took on new floors. The Kimball Auditorium I want to discuss briefly. We incorporated some paging systems and modifications to paging systems, some ceilings and LED light conversions on a smaller scale, as well as, and sometimes we forget, it doesn't feel that long ago, but the Oakwood attachment to the municipal water supply from its well system. So we're down to 1 well in the Oshkosh area school system. So at West High School exterior, I had mentioned that this is the This is the last phase, but this is also the last month of the last phase of the Act 32 project. It is coming to completion finally at the end of this month. It's been a 2-year process at West High School. I'm sure all of you have had an opportunity to drive by. It's really a pretty exciting project. It has really changed the look of that facility in its entirety, I think. Both on the outside, the colors, we've gotten rid of the red beams, the structural steel columns. We've gone with just a really nice generic color, a lot less glass, but it still has a lot of light in. Really energy efficient. I've heard nothing but good things from staff and visitors at that particular facility. We've also changed the that's radiant heat that you see on the lower right, and then the covers on the inside. So on top of being very attractive for West, it's going to really be an energy savings. I'm excited to see what those savings look like in the spring of 2020. Again, just for reference, before and after, entrance 38, and on the far right you'll see what is now the front of the Kimball Auditorium.
I also want to say that it's really easy to find your way around now, because like when you go into a building you don't know and you think, where's the front door? You don't think, I wonder where door 38 is, right? And so now it says door 38, and then you can see the room numbers on the outside of the building.
Right.
It's really helpful.
It is helpful, and that kudos to West for really owning a lot of that. They've done a great job and really identifying the classrooms. I also mentioned to you that part of this summer's funding was the State Safety Security Grant. As a reminder, as Oshkosh Area Schools had applied for a state grant last summer and were ultimately awarded just over $1 million. And we started implementing those particular parts of the grant in the fall. This particular summer we were actually able to implement from a facility standpoint, and I have a couple photos where we're going to slip some technology in here as well, but we were able to incorporate some of the physical features applied to that state grant. These are a couple examples. The technology wing, tech ed I should say, of West High School, so automotive, welding, metal shop, all received new metal doors. They all had old wood doors that were difficult to secure. Teachers were being very creative in how they would lock down for Alice. So by utilizing the funding of this grant, we're able to replace all of their doors with good locking metal doors. They were also fire rated, so we were able to eliminate the fire curtains, which was an old technology that was inside of the classrooms as well. We have a couple to get rid of, but they're no longer active. Also, then in the middle is orchestra, band, and choir. We're able to utilize a more attractive wood-looking door, as that is more of a typical classroom environment. And then we painted some of the frames to match, of course, the bronze doors, which is kind of our district theme as we move forward in certain areas. So we were able to implement those. Those were driven by the state security grant to help secure those areas. In keeping with that trend, at Roosevelt, we were able to replace the inside vestibule doors, which is the left-hand photo. Again, these were aging doors, but what was really the driver behind this was the state safety grants. So we replaced the entire entrance with new doors, and we were able to add some technology to those spaces. You'll see on the far right that there is a reader for these doors, so staff can read in. They're electronically controlled. And the far right photo is the single door entrance into the office located within that vestibule. So now that secretary has the ability to leave the outside doors open, buzz visitors into her office, sign them in, and then release them into the facility. This was all funded through the state grant. What isn't seen in these photos is also funded through the state grant and done with our internal OASD staff. Was every classroom door was replaced within that facility. There were 12 or 16 pane glass doors at every classroom door, which was impossible to secure given any kind of lockdown condition, as well as some students running into some panes of glass in the past. So we were able to go through that facility, replace all the doors, replace the knobs with lever sets to make them ADA compliant. So really almost virtually every door within that facility has been replaced to date. This is a look at outside entrance number 7, North High School. This was done with our own funding. Like as I said, it's kind of a combination. North High School has 3 main entrances. Entrance 20 by the tennis courts. Entrance 7 is of course a student entrance, and entrance number 1 is our remaining large entrance that we've not gotten to yet. So this was an investment we chose to make this year. We've also been helping the schools with our wall table programs. Normally the schools are tasked, and it's a difficult task, with finding and funding funding their school lunch tables, but sometimes you have to find a way to fund that, which is difficult. So through the facilities department, we were able to work with the schools and take on the funding and the implementation of new wall tables. Last year was Webster Middle School and Elementary School. This year was Roosevelt Elementary School and Washington Elementary School. This particular picture is at Roosevelt. Roosevelt did not have this many wall tables, but they did have some freestanding tables in their gymnasium, which was a security issue, a safety issue, excuse me. So we're able to build another bay with our carpenters and add one more section of wall tables to help the school. I've heard nothing but good things from both schools. They're very, very pleased with how easy they open and close, as well as the added tables for the schools, for the students. As I had indicated earlier, we do try to do at least one parking lot a year, sometimes two. This year was one. We focused on South Park Middle School, which is of course off of South Park Drive. This is a parking lot that you would see driving down South Park. The asphalt does extend all the way around the building. It's kind of an odd asphalted area. It extends around the building to the west. In the full back by the dust collector, there's a garage. And then it curves around to the far west side where there's a 4-lane track that the students practice track on. That area was left gravel for some time. It could have been that way since the building was built, I don't know. But we were able to pave it this year, which is going to allow us to do better snow removal, and it really helps facilitate the coaches working with the students on the track area, because we were able to dig out part of the area at the end of the track where they practice long jump as well. So that's going to keep it cleaner for them and allow us to get the snow and everything out of there in the springtime so they can get at their track activities more quickly. Boilers. We continue to replace boilers. The far left boiler is a new boiler at Roosevelt. When that project was done through Act 32 in McKinstry, we had added one boiler. We opted to keep both of the existing boilers because at that time they were only 10 years old. Last year we lost one of those 10-year-old boilers, and then this spring, early spring, we lost the second one. So this is our third boiler then. Now that entire facility has been updated with the same type of boiler that we've been installing through all the Act 32 projects. We also ironically lost a rec boiler. Now that is a steam boiler in the middle. That was the existing boiler that was installed in that building. I think, Al Winnig would probably correct me, but I think in the 1980s, and it was actually used, I'm told, at that time. So we definitely got our money out of that one, but it developed a leak and had to be replaced, so that is the boiler on the far right. It is still a steam boiler, our last remaining steam boiler in the district. We actually fired it this week in preparation for this weekend's cold weather. So that facility is ready to go for the winter. Again, I had mentioned, and I don't want to lose sight of miscellaneous projects that our staff worked very, very hard throughout the summer on, supporting our kitchen staff with grease interceptors, investments that we continue to make within the infrastructure of our schools. We're adding walls. North High School, Emmeline Cook programs both want to add different walls to help facilitate the education of our students, and those walls were built with our carpentry staff and finished by our paint staff. On the far right is the example of some of the work that we had done this summer in Kimball. We're kind of going down the road now, myself working with Al Winnig, Fund 80 and Fund 10 investments, and trying to take care of some safety issues at the Kimball Auditorium. Here was an area where Tom had placed some carts and had some gear piled up. It was just an unsafe condition and really difficult for him to work in as well. So we decided through the carpentry staff, we built a permanent table and stained it to match everything else so that all the gear could be set. We also ran a ton of cable from the back of that auditorium to the front, digital audio snakes and some various infrastructure stuff to kind of prepare us for next year as we start to go through phase 2 and phase 3 by upgrading some of Tom's gear from analog to digital. We're also able to remove all the contents of the room that's actually behind this table, which is a light booth, and we were able to paint that booth, add some bass, change some technology, and and continue to move down that road of replacing infrastructure and just making it a better environment. What you don't see in this photo is connected to some of that cabling. There are some amplifiers, and we also replaced all the speakers in the Kimball this year, which is really going to make an incredible listening experience for all those concerts that are coming up in the Kimball. So I think you are going to enjoy that. As I had mentioned earlier, we did have that we are in our third round of our Act 32, which was our energy exemption. We took advantage at Oshkosh schools through 3 different rounds. Round 1 of 21.5, round 2 of 14.5, and our third round, of course, was $17.3 million. Those 3 rounds did encompass boilers, roofs, a little bit of building infrastructure, some LED technologies, and some air handlers as well. I also mentioned tonight that we were funded through the safety grant. There was an initial round that everybody applied for. We received $459,000. The state was, they did offer $100 million. It was not fully utilized through round 1, so they went through a round 2 process, of which we were awarded $549,000. So about $1,008,000, and that gives you an idea of what we're utilizing the grant for. Security cameras have been installed, paging systems were installed. A lot of that has been done over the last year. And of course, you saw tonight pictures of Roosevelt vestibule. And if you looked really closely in some of those photos, you'll see technology had implemented some keyless entry and some door locks as well.
Excuse me, could you explain what the BDA system is?
Oh, certainly. Yeah, the BDA system is it's an amplification system. It was incorporated at Webster Middle School, and it is utilized in areas where the police radios do not work. So that's a security, a safety issue. When they get into certain areas of our older buildings, there's such mass in these buildings that the police radios no longer work. So we have repeaters that we have invested in over the last several years. So our OASD radios work quite well, but the police band radios do not. So we did incorporate that. It works quite well at Webster. We're actually looking at a couple different sites as well, where we do have some remaining grant money that we may be able to implement and help Oshkosh Police Department.
Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
then how many of our schools have AEDs?
Every school has an AED. So this was replacement of some AEDs, and I believe this was done by Jay Jones. I think he was adding some AEDs as well to different sites.
Thank you.
It's important to note that the both utilizing the Act 32 energy exemption and the security grant, by doing some of the things that we've shown you tonight, has really helped to offset some of the things that we would have had to try to do through our normal our normal Fund 10 funding process. So both of those were critical elements, I think, in our success as a facilities department to help support the administrators around the district in our mission of educating children. Do you have any questions?
I have just a comment. I'm on the facilities and finance, and when he brought this to our committee, I asked him, I said, could you come back with, just how much we're spending, how much of Act 32 went, to projects? Because I think I need a talking point as a board member when we go out to the community and we say, we're doing this facilities committee to figure out what are we going to do with all of our buildings. And if there's any perception that we've not been taking care of our buildings, I wanted something to speak to. So the fact that we've spent over $50 million in the last 3 years, that to me speaks volumes of the work that Jim and his team have done. So thank you for that number, and now it's in there now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions or comments? Could you just comment, please, on the Oakwood Municipal hookup, since that's a topic that received some attention in the spring?
It did. We had our normal spring water test performed, and our levels of arsenic had jumped exceedingly high since our last normal test. For no explanation, this is a high arsenic area, but our wells had always tested very, very well in the past, always well within the lot of wells there. Well within the state numbers where we needed to be for safety and clean water. Just for whatever reason, it could be the high water levels, but our numbers really went high this year. And upon a second test, to validate those numbers, they went even higher. So we shut the well down. We brought in temporary water, temporary hand washing stations, and we connected to the town of Algoma municipal water, which really was always our goal. We had hoped to wait until Armour Road reconstruction was done so we could connect at a different spot. It just accelerated that process, but we got it done, and everybody's got safe water now, and again, one less well for us to worry about.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other comments or questions? For Mr. Fox? Well, we thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity.
We put students first, and we have to invest in our facilities in order to make those learning environments positive ones for our students, and this explains why. Safety and energy and sound facilities, so thank you, and to your crew who work on this as well.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any individually considered resolutions this evening? Seeing none, are there any requests for future agenda items? Oh, I'm sorry. I rolled all over you. That's okay. I just got so wrapped up in this workshop, I just lost my place on the agenda. I'm sorry. The consent resolution agenda. For the consent agenda, the board has been furnished with background material on each item or has discussed it at a previous meeting. These will be acted upon with one vote without discussion. If a board member wants to discuss any item, it will be pulled out of the consent agenda and will be voted on separately. Is there any resolution? There's only one. Is there any resolution that anyone would like to pull out? All right, then the board will consider approval of one personnel resolution, A, appointments, temporary appointments, resignation, and salaries.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Salachi?
Aye.
Salachi, aye. Carlin?
Aye.
Carlin, aye. Evans?
Aye.
Evans, aye. Garner?
Aye.
Garner, aye. Herzog?
Aye.
Herzog, aye. Olmsted?
Aye.
Olmsted, aye. Peschel?
Aye.
Peschel, aye. Motion carried.
Okay, now I'll do a do-over here. Are there any individually considered resolutions? Seeing none, are there any requests for future agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move on to announcements. Are there any announcements this evening? I have two. Just a reminder to the board that we have online board evaluations that are due next Tuesday, October 15th. So if you haven't had a chance to do that, please try to wrap that up by Tuesday so that we can get the data back and evaluate our performance and our functioning as a board. Secondly, if you've not registered for the Wisconsin Association of School Boards Region 7 Fall Meeting, that's being held on October 30th in Neenah. And I believe all you have to do is contact Sherry in regard to that. And once again, I want to thank the the administrative team and the entire district for recognizing the board this evening. That's very, very touching. So thank you on behalf of the board. We can next entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Carlin?
Aye.
Carlin, aye. Evans?
Aye.
Evans, aye. Garner?
Aye.
Garner, aye. Herzog?
Aye.
Herzog, aye. Olmsted?
Aye.
Olmsted, aye. Peschel?
Aye.
Peschel, aye. Salachi?
Aye.
Salachi, aye. Motion carried.
Thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.
Is that for dramatic?